First, I thank Hashem for the opportunity that is this life, for the people who have crossed my path on this journey, my family, and my wife Hannah, whose patience and love have been constant and unconditional. I would also like to thank Rabbi and Mrs. Leifer and the Board of Directors of Yaldei for their expression of confidence in bestowing this honor. Distinguished guests, I would like to take a few moments to share some words with you about something precious. One of the fundamental lessons I have learned in my work with children. You have come tonight to support our efforts to bring about change in the lives of the young children with whom we work, to benefit their families and the community at large. For that, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I want to tell you a little about the children at Yaldei. They are beautiful. Sometimes they are distant and very careful about the adults around them. Perhaps they'll walk past you or watch you very carefully or give you a big hug and a kiss. Watching the changes in them is like trying to know exactly when day begins after night. You watch so closely that you fall in love. I wish you could see a certain child's eyes shining with happiness and pride when he tells you what he wants using pictures for his words, and he is understood. I wish you could see the joy and cheering in the hallways when the staff celebrate another child's first steps on her own. How can we even begin to know the depth of happiness and joy, the fullness that can fill these little ones because someone has reached out to them in a meaningful fashion? We are very protective of these precious ones. However, we are not unrealistic about the difficulties the children can encounter and will most likely encounter in a world too often separated from its own humanity. But we reach with them for their potential. I could tell you so many stories about these amazing, wonderful people, but I have a purpose and I have a time limit. For my purpose, I will tell you one more story. These are true stories. There was a little boy who couldn't speak, and a little girl. She couldn't speak either. They were both 4 years old and had only recently begun to walk. He was more aware of the world around him than she was at first. But then she began to open up, seeing people, recognizing familiar faces and reaching out. They began to share time in music therapy, and they became friends who were happy when their paths would cross in the course of the day at their center. Now, as is always the case when families do manage to receive some public services, the child will be tested in order to classify their level of performance in comparison to children who are developing more typically. And as can be expected, the comparison resulted in low performance scores for the children. One day, the little girl abruptly left the center because her family had to move away. Months later, a therapist was leaving Yaldei for England, and as is our custom, she was given a photo album of the children and the staff with best wishes. After the goodbye party, and most had returned to their activities, I was standing next to the therapist, chatting, and the little boy stood between us, turning the pages of her album that lay on the table. He came upon a picture of his friend, the little girl, who had left. And I remember it very clearly. He stopped, He looked at her picture, then he bent down to kiss it. Ladies and gentlemen, to my knowledge, we have not yet developed, and I doubt we ever will, a standardized test that measures personness, the awesome mystery of our being. We can only meet this mystery. It's a privilege to work with these people. We can only meet the mystery that is the other person, and in these meetings, continue to learn who the other is, and ultimately learn who we are. What has been my purpose in relating these stories to you? To introduce you to children full of life, courage, determination, humor, love, and affection. Sadness, tears of frustration, anger, anxiety, embarrassment. All of these are the same feelings as of any other child, of any other person. These are persons, vulnerable and indeed with exceptional needs. And we work hard to meet these needs, and they are partners in our efforts. Persons blessed with the same divine spark as all of us and precious in the sight of Hashem. So I thank you for this honor and for this opportunity to share these words with you. I and Yaldei thank you for your support, but most especially, I thank the children who have taught me and continue to teach me what it means to be a human being. Baruch Tihu.